Because the gate cannot reopen, she is forced to use a hole in the wall to get in. She meets three guys, Oswald Grimsard, William Aries, and Prince Edwin Valshine. Later at orientation, she meets a girl whom she sees a strange dark aura around and who knows her name. It's then revealed that this is all an Otome RPG. The focus then switches to the other girl, Yumiella Dolkness, who is the game's hidden boss. Her narration explains that she was a Japanese college student who was hit by a truck and reincarnated in the game's world as Yumiella. In her youth, Yumiella spent a lot of time level grinding. She realizes she doesn't know what her level is now. At orientation, the academy instructors check all the students' levels. To everybody's shock, Yumiella is revealed to be level 99. Nobody believes Yumiella is level 99, even after checking it again. Yumiella decides to just own it and insists it's true while people start accusing her of cheating. Later in a swordsmanship class, Yumiella faces William in a mock sword fight and sends him flying with one hit. Then in a magic class, the students take turns shooting a suit of armor with magic attacks. Yumiella disintegrates it with her dark magic. Edwin and the headmaster arrive with expulsion paperwork, threatening to expel Yumiella unless she can prove she's truly level 99. In response, Yumiella creates a black hole in the sky and then makes it disappear, leaving them traumatized. Following the black hole incident, Yumiella is summoned before the king and queen, where she pledges her service to the kingdom's defense after the night Captain Adolf challenges her to prove her strength. That's a lie, of course, as she thinks to herself that she's totally planning to flee the kingdom if things ever go bad. Later, she meets the queen in her chamber, who asks her to assist in defeating the demon lord who will be returning in 2 years, which she was preparing to do anyway, although it would be bad for the royal family's legitimacy if they aren't the ones to actually defeat him. She explains that there's an extremist faction working against the king, led by Duke Hilros, and Yumiella's parents are part of it. Back at the academy, the other girls begin to warm up to Yumiella as she starts getting marriage offers from several men, none of whom she's interested in. She also attracts the attention of Duke Hilros's daughter, Eleonora. They become friends, and after learning that she has a crush on Edwin, Yumiella agrees not to interfere as she has no interest in him. Later at lunch, Alicia approaches Yumiella and asks if she is the Demon Lord. Yumiella denies being the Demon Lord, but the captured targets arrive and start accusing her of it, or at least of doing something evil. Yumiella chides them for being too weak to face the Demon Lord, and gives everyone present some advice on how to most efficiently level up. However, they all consider her advice insane and reckless, and as a result, the girls all begin distancing themselves from her again. Yumiella starts to wonder if Alicia is also a reincarnated person from her world, but after observing her for a day, she concludes that's probably not the case. Later, while studying with Edwin, Alicia reveals that Yumiella doesn't look human to her. She sees Yumiella as some kind of shadowy entity. Animals also seem to be frightened by her. Yumiella meets the new principal, the previous having resigned presumably due to him underestimating Yumiella, who assigns her to oversee a field lesson where a bunch of students go out and fight monsters to level up. She and a male student, Patrick Ashbaden, discuss how to make the process more efficient. Yumiella uses her monster-calling flute to summon more monsters for her classmates to fight, despite Patrick's protests. After the battle, she uses the flute again, but uses a dark bind spell to immobilize the monsters so the students can kill them safely. One monster attacks Yumiella and Patrick blocks it, injuring his arm. Yumiella heals him with dark magic, admitting that dark magic healing looks really gross. Then she uses the flute and dark bind several more times, to her classmates' chagrin. Yumiella starts spending more time with Patrick during training. Later, Yumiella starts wondering about the real Yumiella's motivations and reasons for having dark magic. Later, at another field lesson, Yumiella gets put on medic duty and told not to use the flute again. Of course, she uses the flute again after making the students choose between it or getting physically injured and healed with dark magic. She finds herself growing concerned about what Patrick thinks about her. Later, Alicia arrives and apologizes to Yumiella for thinking she was the Demon Lord. Edwin, having learned about her earlier actions, accuses her of being a threat to the kingdom, but Patrick shows up and defends her actions. In response, Edwin leaves with Alicia. Yumiella realizes she wants to be friends with Patrick, but figures that might be asking too much. Later, she and Patrick begin to spend more time with each other, which the other female students notice. After summer break ends, the academy holds a martial arts tournament. Even though the real Yumiella didn't take part in it, she decides to enter it when she finds out the grand prize is an amulet that amplifies dark magic. Ronald allows her to, but it is revealed that he expected her to enter it in hopes of showing her off to the nobles in the audience. However, she is very well aware of his motive. As the competition begins, she discovers that the capture targets are also taking part in it. William, having been training for the entire summer break, reveals that he wants to be stronger than Captain Adolf. During the sword fighting portion, all of Yumiella's opponents withdraw, except for William, who fights her with a powerful sword, but she beats him by destroying his sword with a Yumiella punch. Adolf is the only one who notices this. During the magic portion, Oswald is able to score a perfect 100 points, confident that Yumiella won't be able to beat him. Alicia also performs well thanks to Yumiella's advice, debuting her new spell, Sun Rain. When it is Yumiella's turn, she uses the same black hole spell from earlier, but unintentionally creates a typhoon. The coach gives her 300 points just to get her to stop, making her the winner of the competition, to Oswald's dismay. Once the typhoon is gone, she is awarded the amulet, making her even more powerful than she was before. Close to the end of school year, students have once again been distancing themselves from Yumiella after the events of the martial arts tournament, except for Patrick. When Alicia's things go missing, Edwin accuses Yumiella, but Patrick defends her as there is no proof. Yumiella remembers that her real counterpart usually bullies Alicia. Later, Yumiella discovers that one of Eleanora's friends is the culprit, having been doing this without her knowing. She warns Eleanora to not let anyone know about this for the sake of her winning Edwin's heart. Yumiella later tells Patrick of her questionable decisions to help Alicia. Eleanora starts to follow Yumiella, annoying her so much that she tries several attempts to end her friendship with her, to no avail. Later, Yumiella at first does not wish to attend the upcoming party at the end of the year, but after remembering an event that involves Alicia spending time with one of the capture targets, she changes her mind. She reluctantly agrees to wear a dress at her maid and Eleanora's insistence. At the party, she dances with Patrick, who struggles to confess his feelings towards her, even after she turns down the offer of another man asking her to dance with him. Meanwhile, Alicia drags Edwin outside to view the stars together, leaving the other capture targets behind. Patrick tries to invite Yumiella on a date, and she reluctantly agrees. It is revealed that Patrick has been training in the dungeons for some time to impress her. At the start of the second school year, Yumiella turns up with a strange egg. The episode then goes through a flashback that explains how she found it. Yumiella is approached by a student named Jessica Monford, who is meant to become one of Alicia's friends. She requests her help in dealing with a dragon that is threatening her town, and Yumiella agrees. After meeting Jessica's father, Baron Monoford, Yumiella goes with two of the Baron's guards. After finding the dragon, the guards hide, but Yumiella was able to easily defeat it, only for another one to appear. She defeats this dragon too. Entering their cave, she finds a dragon egg, ending the flashback. She tells Patrick about the egg, who then explains its purpose. It is revealed that the egg was originally meant to be found by Alicia. As she takes care of the egg, Alicia becomes more frightened of Yumiella. When the egg is about to hatch, she and Patrick go to her mansion. They name the baby dragon Ryu. Its appearance and power frightens Patrick and Yumiella's maid while Yumiella bonds with it. Ryu grows bigger overnight, and his presence scares many of the students, especially Edwin, who is humiliated when Ryu harmlessly bites him and vows revenge. Eleanora is, however, not scared of Ryu and also bonds with him. They then provide Ryu a home in the school's storehouse. As the students' fear of Yumiella increases, Patrick again fails to confess his feelings to Yumiella after learning that she is a bit scared of flying. She decides to take her first flight with Ryu, but soon lets herself free-fall back on the school grounds, but not before sending Ryu back on his own. Patrick quickly takes her to the clinic despite her claims that she isn't hurt. Yumiella later talks to Patrick about their relationship and helps Eleonora pass a makeup exam. Patrick then spends his time fighting in the dungeons, which leads Yumiella to believe that he already has a girlfriend. After Edwin talks to Patrick, he apologizes to Yumiella for his antagonism. After Ronald informs Yumiella that Alicia hasn't been able to level up thanks to the capture targets, she invites Alicia to train in the dungeons with her, but she declines out of fear and leaves. The next day, Alicia has disappeared and the capture targets believe that she was kidnapped. Alicia is then seen walking into the woods, seemingly in a trance. Yumiella and Ryu find Alicia and bring her back to her senses. She explains that something keeps taking control of her body and makes her do things without her thinking about it, such as enrolling in the academy, showing off her son Rain's spell at the tournament, and taking Edwin outside at the dance. Yumiella realizes that these were all important events to the game's plot, and surmises that since Alicia is the protagonist of the game, the world itself is making her play out the important parts of the plot. Since the world now wants Alicia to level up, Yumiella takes her to that dark-type dungeon. They are denied entry, but Ryu scares away the guards, allowing them to pass. Alicia struggles to make her way through the dungeon compared to Yumiella, who is very well experienced. When they reach the final floor, Alicia can't beat the boss, forcing Yumiella to defeat it herself. Alicia survives thanks to a protection amulet that Yumiella gave her earlier, but it can only be used once. For beating the boss, they are rewarded with more protection amulets that Yumiella gives to Alicia before a teleportation function sends them back outside. They go through the dungeon several more times, as Alicia levels up a lot and gains a bunch of new spells. On one run, they get a dark-type sword that Alicia can't use, so Yumiella takes it. After many runs, Alicia finally manages to defeat the boss without Yumiella's help, and they are given a light-type sword, which Yumiella cannot touch due to its powerful light magic. Giving the sword to Alicia, they decide to go to the Demon Lord's domain, but thick fog prevents them from going any further. The game world won't let them go there until the right time, so they decide to go back to the academy. Once back, Alicia reunites with the capture targets, who finally show Yumiella some respect. Yumiella also gives Patrick a wind-type spear that she got from the dungeon. As Alicia shows off her newly upgraded skills, this inspires the capture targets to train harder, so they can level up too. Yumiella considers taking Alicia to a harder dungeon next time, which worries Patrick, the latter having known about Yumiella's actions. In the afternoon, Yumiella watches Alicia and the capture targets train. Later, a stranger invites her to a classroom to perform an experiment that requires for Yumiella to wear anti-magic cuffs that disables her powers. The stranger then reveals himself to be an assassin who is also accompanied by other assassins who plan to kill her, but she easily breaks free with her immense strength, which the anti-magic cuffs could not disable, and defeats them. After they are arrested, Ronald suspects that someone hired them. 2 days later, another assassin tries to kill Yumiella while she's sleeping, but fails as her body is unbelievably durable. While telling Patrick about the attempted assassinations, another assassin shoots arrows at them, but Yumiella intercepts the attack and takes down the assassin. To avoid endangering students, Yumiella goes into town in disguise and helps convince a young boy, who also has dark hair, to try and make friends. Another group of assassins try to kill her, but she easily defeats them and hands them over to the authorities after failing to get any information out of them. After learning that Rita has been poisoning her tea, which proves ineffective on her, she learns that Rita's sister Sarah is being held hostage by Yumiella's father Count Dolkness to bribe her into murdering his daughter. It turns out he was the one who hired the assassins from earlier. Heading to the Dolkness estate, Yumiella rescues Sarah and goes to confront her parents, learning that the reason why they tried to kill her because she was deemed a traitor due to her supporting the king and also because of her black hair, as well as refusing past arranged marriages. Yumiella then forces her parents to give the estate to her and threatens to unleash her black hole spell if they refuse. Now Countess, Yumiella informs the situation to the king and plans to end the discrimination against those who have black hair, and later offers Patrick to be her adoptive son, to his confusion. The king soon learns that the Demon Lord is preparing for an attack on the kingdom and arranges an army, with Captain Adolf, Alicia, the capture targets, and Yumiella taking part in it. That night, Patrick, now at level 60, talks with Yumiella about the upcoming war and, after some struggle with confessing his feelings towards her, kisses her as the fireworks begin. The next day, the war begins as the Demon Lord sends his army to attack the kingdom. The king's army and some of the students from the academy prepare for battle, while Yumiella, Alicia, and the captured targets travel to the Demon Lord's domain on Ryu. In a flashback before the war, Patrick gives Yumiella a protection amulet for a precaution. During the war, Patrick leads a squadron of the king's army against the Demon King's forces. Meanwhile, Yumiella's group arrive at his castle. Yumiella sends Ryu to be with Patrick so that he won't fall under the Demon Lord's control. Reaching the throne room, Alicia and two of the captured targets are caught in a trap, but Yumiella frees them. The group then fight the Demon Lord, but he proves to be a strong foe, resulting in their protection amulets being destroyed, except for Yumiella's. When Yumiella breaks off his helmet, it reveals a human face with black hair. The Demon Lord reveals that he was once a human who served a past king, but was exiled out of people's fear of his capabilities, which was actually part of the king's plan to use him for his own means, eventually becoming the Demon Lord and developing a hatred towards humans. Yumiella is very well aware of his backstory, as she had played the game many times in her past life. After failing to reason with him and turning down his offer to join forces, the Demon Lord summons multiple black holes and fights Yumiella one-on-one, but she defeats him. The Demon Lord expresses gratitude of her for putting him out of his misery as he is pulled into his own black holes. Everyone escapes as the black holes destroy the castle. However, Alicia suddenly stabs Yumiella, but she survives thanks to her protection amulet. The game world is again making Alicia play out its plot, to which she must now fight Yumiella right after the battle against the Demon Lord. The captured targets try to stop her, but are overpowered. Yumiella falsely claims that the Demon Lord put a curse on Alicia as a final ploy against them. Alicia is still unable to control herself, but as Edwin tries to stop her, he confesses his feelings to Alicia before the other captured targets can, breaking her curse. The group then proceed to fight the Demon Lord's approaching army, defeating them just as Patrick arrives on Ryu. The group reunite with the king's army, where they find Eleonora helping to tend the injured. Yumiella, Alicia, and the captured targets are hailed as heroes. In the aftermath, the group return to the kingdom. Yumiella presents her cover story of the Demon Lord cursing Alicia to the king to ensure that she doesn't get severely punished.